Welcome back. So let's continue from where we left. Okay, so we're done with the chat and we have the stories here. So but before we go on, let's make sure that they support that theme, right? So let's give, okay, so what I'm going to do is this. Okay, so I'm going to say that on dark theme. Okay, great. So I'm going to say that if it's dark, the text should be white, else it should be this. Okay, that's fine. So now what we can do is that let's go inside and create the stories here. So I can just say stories, right? Okay, and I'll go inside the components and create the stories.tsx. So export cons stories. Okay, great. So like this, and let's go and import it here. Okay, let me make sure it's running. Okay, yeah, it's running now. So what we can do is, okay, so now I will want to create, okay, let me also get the theme here first before we do anything else. So make sure you import from the context that we have, right? Okay, and now, how do I even get? So let me create an interface for the stories first. So stories, story. Okay, so each story will have an ID, and this, let me say it will be ID from here, stories. Oh, no. Okay, so like this. Okay, so like this, it will be, yes, an ID from here. There will be user ID, right? The user. There will also be type, which can either be an image or a video. And we'll have the content. So if you remember the content from our schema, right, which is an object. So we'll have a media, and it will be an optional string. And there will also be storage ID, which is also optional. Okay, because if should in case we want to add test, then we'll not get a storage ID. So that's why we're saying it is optional. So it also had duration, which is a number, and there's dimension. Okay, so then the dimension will have width and height. Okay, and I think that should be it. Okay, we also can have the created at here. It will be a number. Yeah, that's how it come. And will we even need the expire at and stuff? I'm not sure. We need them, but maybe we need the story group ID. Yes, which will be a string. Okay. We may also have the user info, which will be, now this time we're going to import something called doc, which is from generated data model, right? And we'll pass in which type, the user. So here we are referring to the user type, right? So if you hover over it, you can see that this will be the user type, meaning we'll have the user information, right? Okay. So this how we can do it. Okay. So how can I even generate okay, so I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go into the dummy data and let's see if I can generate fake stories with this data type, right? Okay. Okay, so maybe I can export this from here. So export this and I'll import it from here and see. Okay, so let me see. Okay, is this even correct? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say it can be this or any other string. Yeah, so that this will work here. Let me do another one and see. Okay. I think image. Yeah, let me just say image. Okay. I think this should be fine for now. So I'll just come here. Okay. So now we have a dummy data there. So what we can do is let's do the UI, right? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's do the UI first. Let's do the UI and see. Okay. So here I have this div. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say class name. Okay. So our first check is dark, right? If it's dark, BG should be gray. That's 900 as usual. Else it should be a BG white. Okay. Now we're going to also use flat list here. Flat list. Okay. So the data, it's going to be, I'm just going to set it to an empty array for now. Make sure the flat list is imported from React Native. Okay, it's there. And we're going to have the, I'm going to say it should be horizontal, right? Meaning it should go from left to right here, right? Not from top to bottom. Okay. And I'm going to say show scroll indicator should be false. And what again? I'm going to give a class name of px of 4. Okay. And py, okay, we can just say p4. Yes. So ps of 4, py4 will be the same thing. Oh, okay. Close this one and remove this one. Okay. Yeah. And now we need to have the render item. Okay. So here, okay. So okay, so we're distracting the item and we're getting the story card. Yes, okay. Type this. Okay, so what I can do is, okay, maybe here I can also create a story card, or I can put it somewhere here. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to keep it here. Okay. And we'll need to do the key extract, right? So key extractor. Okay, great. And I think that should be all. And I'm also going to put the yeah, we can even add the chat header here, right? So like we can have a div like this and put a text inside and say chat or chat, right? Import this from React Native, right? And it'll be here, okay, like that. So here, what I'm going to say is it should be flex row, yeah, items to center and justify to between, and padding X of 4. Okay, that's fine. And margin bottom of also 4. Okay, so something like this, so that we know that this is the chart. View all. Where did I get this view all from? We can remove this. I don't think it's needed. So okay, let's maintain it. Okay, and we can even change this to ensure we get okay, this. Okay, so test this, and now let's see if it's dark, right? If it's dark, then the test should be white, right? Else test should be black or gray. Which one? Gray 600. And where is it? Is dark. Okay, great. So I think that's pretty it. Okay, so we can see chats or messages. Anyone, I think any of them is pretty fine. Okay, so here, first, then why not we create the functionality to be able to add stories instead. So instead of this here, what I'm going to do is that I am going to say that this here, I'm going to say the item that we'll get, right? If the item.user ID, right, the user ID is equal to add. So we will first want to push in an item inside the list with the user ID as add, right? Because we want to use that ID to detect that and add a button in front where you can upload stories, right? Yeah. Okay, so like this. Then we'll render something called add add story, right? Great. Else, then we'll show this card, right? Okay, so I think it's cool. Yeah, so this and this and this and that. So we can remove one from here. Then I think that should be it. You can also remove one of this. Yeah, I think the parentheses are okay now. So I'm going to come here and just say cons add story. Okay, so like this. Okay, great. Okay, great job. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the first one as this. Okay. Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to do it this way. Type, okay, so something like this. Then let me import this here and put it here. Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, so this now let's do with this. So here, instead of this, it's going to be touchable opacity. Opacity. Okay, great. And let's add classes. So I'm going to say it should be items-center. And I'm going to say margin right of 4. On press, we'll call handle add story. Okay, and we can just define that function up here. Great. So yeah, so that's it here. Okay, so okay, so yeah, what is happening? Okay, I think yeah. Okay, so yeah, like this. So inside here, inside this, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna put a view. Okay, great. So class name. Okay, so first I'm gonna say the width should be 16, height of 16, rounded dash full. Okay, great. And now let's check for dark. Okay. Okay, let me close this. Let me toggle the side then so that you can see it in full. Okay, so here we're saying that if it's dark, it should be gray, gray 700. Let me make it 800. And if this, it should be gray 200. Then also reduce this to 100. Okay, great. And aside that, we can even add items to center and justify to also center here. Okay, so inside here, I'm going to say add material icon. Okay, so material, it's material community icon. Okay, great. So the name of the icon should be plus. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have this here. Okay, beautiful. And well, again, we need, okay, yeah, so it should be this and that. Maybe I should put this color instead. Just say this. Yeah, this color. If it's dark, it should be this color, else it should be this. And the size of 24 plus, and that's pretty fine. And below this, I'm just going to put a test that says add story. Okay, so with the class test SM, and when it is dark, it should be grade 300, and when it is, it should be that. Okay, I think that's cool. Okay, great. So if you click on it, you can see great, and click on it. Now, when I click on it, let's move to the function, right? Okay. When I click on it here, great here, then I'm gonna do try catch, right? Okay, great. So I'm gonna say cons result. The results will be on click, the result that we'll get from the thing that we want to do. Okay, so we're gonna say it should be await, so we'll make this async. And here I'm gonna say image picker. I don't know whether I've installed image picker, but So here it says we can say import or as image picker, and I'm not sure it does exist. Okay, so let's go to Expo. So Expo provides us with image picker. So I'm going to say image picker. Okay, so yeah, so yeah, this is how we can install it. So copy this and okay, so if example, if they need to do some configuration, add permissions, okay, then that's this. And this is how we can import it, import or as image picker from Expo image picker. Okay, that's fine. So let's go inside a terminal. I'll create a new one and just say that. Okay, let's see. Let's continue whilst it is installing. Okay, so I'm going to need a state here. So I'm just going to say is uploading and set is uploading to use state. So let me import this. Okay, great. So here, okay, so it's done installing. So let's see. Yes, correct. Okay, so here I'm going to say dot. So you see there are a lot of methods on it. So you can do dot launch camera so that when you click on it, it will launch the camera, right? Or you can also do this, but we want to use image library, right? So that we pick from the images. Okay, so we need to add what we call media types, right? Okay, so what types of files that we accept? So I'm going to say you can see that we accept images. We can also accept live photos or videos, so images and videos. Okay. Now, what again? So I say allow editing. We can set it to true, or you can also set it to false, so that you don't allow editing. And here, the aspect ratio. Okay, I'm going to set it to 1:1, and you can also have something called quality and set it to 1. Okay, great. So you can hover over it and read that. Yeah, the specific quality of compression from 0 to 1. So it ranges from 0 to 1, right? Okay. So we're going to say that if the result is cancelled, then we'll return, meaning if the user cancels it, then we don't need to proceed, return. But if the user do not cancel it, then we take it comes as an array, right? The asset comes as an array. So since you can only select one, we pick the first one and we destructure the URL. Okay. Now, upon reaching here, maybe here we can set the is uploading to true, because by then, yeah. Okay, great. And then we can even make some changes here. Here, okay, where we have the bottom, this one. Okay, so I'm going to say that is uploading. If it's uploading is true, right? Then I'll show activity indicator, right? Else we show this. So the activity indicator will be I'm going to say the size should be small, right? And the color, okay, so the color should be okay. If it's dark, okay, so here, am I missing something? Okay, so here I remove this. Let me remove these things, they're not needed. Okay, so yeah, if it's dark, then it will be this color, I mean the same thing as here. And we can even add that let's try to see if we can disable the button when we doing the upload. So I'm going to say disable, so that disable, then I'll put is uploading, so that the user should not be able to click on it again. Okay, so that's right. Now, yeah, we need to generate an image URL, right? So we'll go inside our convex and convex, then inside the general, right? Okay, so here let's generate image URL. So what we're going to say is, let's say export cons generate upload URL equal to, it's going to be a mutation. Okay, so mutation. Okay, then this, we don't need an argument, we only need this, we need the handle. Oh, okay, great. So we need the handle, And since we'll not need the arguments, I think we can remove this. Okay, so what we say is that await get the current user, right? We need to make sure the user is logged in, right? Great, because you can't just come and generate image. So we'll make sure the user is logged in. And if that exists, then we can say that await ctx dot storage, right, dot generate upload URL. Great, like this. So here we generate the upload URL and send, right? Okay, so we're going to use this here. So here, what we can do is we can come up here and say cause generate. Okay, I'm getting a suggestion. So generate upload URL. Then we use mutation. Okay, so that's a mutation, and let's import this from also at convex generate, right? Okay, and when we do, okay, so let me do it one more. So this, when we import the API, we just do the dotted. You can see that we have users, and so if you check, you can see we have users and we have general. So which one do we want to refer to? We want to refer to the general one, and dotted, there are methods in it. So one is generate this. Okay, great. So now we can use this method here. We can just call that method and upload the image, right? Okay, so now that we reach here, we can just say cons upload URL, right? Okay, should be equal to await. Then what we just created, generate URL, right? Okay, so generate URL, we call it, and we'll get the URL. Okay, so once we get the URL, we now have the here. Okay, so I'm just going to say this one should be selected media. Okay, great. So let's just say now we have the selected media. And if we have the selected media, what we can do is we can say cons response should also be equal to await. Then we're going to use the fetch, right? Fetch from JavaScript. You don't need to install anything or import anything. Okay, then pass in the selected image dot URL. Okay, great, like this. And now let's convert it to a blob. So blob should also be await, then response dot blob. Okay, great. Once we're done with that, now we can say post results, right? That is when you post it, the result that you get should be equal to await, also fetch, then upload URL. Okay, so we need to pass in a little parameters. Okay, so here we make sure we convert it to a blob, and now convert it to a blob, right? So now we're going to post it. So we're saying that we're using the same fetch, and we're passing in the URL that has been generated right up here. Okay, and now we need the method to send it. The method will be a post method. Okay, great. We also need headers. We need a header, and this one will have content type. Okay, so the content type should be based on the selected media dot main type. Okay, so like this. Okay, yeah, then we'll pass in this headers. Okay, then we'll pass in the body as the blob. Okay, so did I miss anything? Post and this. Okay, okay, so just it's saying that it might not be there, right? So just add it's going to mark telling it that it will be there. Okay, great. So once we send it, now we can get a response back, right? So if everything goes through successful, we can get the storage ID from the post result.json. We'll get the post ID. Okay, so now we can create the story itself. Okay, so how do we create the story? We can go inside Convex here, and now let's create the stories file. So store risk function.ts, right? Okay, so in the stories, I'm going to say that export cons create story. Okay, so which will also be a mutation. So import mutation, and here we will need arguments. Okay, so the arguments will be, we'll need a type. So the type, if you remember from our data schema, it will either be one of these. So let me import v data values. Okay. Did I do anything wrong? Handler. Okay. So yeah, let me remove this also and see. Okay, that's fine now. Okay, so it will be one of these. It will be like image this or that. Okay, so we're not gonna do the test though. Okay, we'll also need the content which is v dot object. Great. And we'll have the storage id. Okay, so optional string. Should it even be optional? I don't think it's important to make it optional, because you can send image, or since we're not going to do the test, you can send image or this without storage id. Okay, we'll also need the duration, which will be optional. Okay, we also need the dimensions. Okay, so the dimension is also optional, and it will be an object of height and width. Okay, great. Now I move to what again? I think that's all. Yeah, okay. So now let's come to the function here itself. So first, let's get the user, right? So user should be equal to await get current user. So let's import that, or through, right? Get current user or through an error if the user does not exist. Okay. Now let's do const latest story. Okay, since it can be grouped, let's get the latest story, right? So we're gonna say await cts.db.query. Okay, query. Then we're going to query the stories table. Okay, dot with index. What is the index? Okay, so I have this suggestion. So we're going to use by user. Yeah, I think I created that. So by user, and so we're passing the user ID, right? Okay, so user ID here. Do I even need to order it? Okay, so here by user, right, we're referring to the user ID, where okay, where user ID, right, is equal to the value that we'll provide here. Okay, so here maybe okay, let's order it in. We'll order it in descending order, and we want the first one, so we want the latest one, right? Okay, so latest, I think the name is Clerk, the latest. So now let's say sequence should be equal to latest story exist.sequence. Okay, exist or 0, then +1, right? So we want to get the latest one, and if it exists, we add 1. If it doesn't, it's 0, then we still add 1. So we start from 1. So const row, no, we say now should be equal to new date, or yeah, date. That's okay, date dot now. Okay, or then we can also say const expires at, okay, so it expires at the new date or now times 24 hours, right? 60 minutes, 60 seconds. Okay, all times 1000. Okay, so if it does, now let's create the story itself. So what I'm going to say is return await ctf.db.insert. Okay, great. So insert into stories, where we have the user ID, which will be the user that is up here, this user that is up here. Okay, we'll have the type from the arguments.type. We have the content as the content. We can have created at as now, expires at as the expire at. Views can be now for now, is active. Okay, let's set that one to true. And the sequence will be the sequence, and the story group ID. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say it should be Okay, I'm going to say user dot underscore ID, right? Great. Then I'll put dash now. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm combining the user ID and the date, right? Yeah. So the user ID and the date. Yeah, that's pretty simple, right? Okay. So this will help us do the upload. Okay, that's pretty fair. So if we go here, we can also come up and here just say cons create story. Okay, so it's also going to be a use mutation where we go to API, then the stories, then create story. Okay, great. Okay, so now here, when we get the storage ID, what can we do? What we can do is we just need to say await, create story. Okay, great. Then it takes the argument. So type, okay. So type should be the selected media.type. Yeah. No. All of these things are not important. Okay. So here, what I'm going to say that if the select bit is great, if the type is equal to image, then it's image, else it's video, right? Okay. So you remember we said we're not going to do the test. Okay. And content. Okay. So content will pass the storage ID. I will pass duration. Duration. Okay. Let me check from here. Is duration optional? Okay. I don't even. Okay. It's optional. So maybe I can remove it. Duration option. Okay. Okay. Or undefined. Okay. And here we also have the height, right? Okay. So yeah, the selected image dot height. Okay. So here, even if I remove this, will it work? Yes, because the image or thing will have a height and distance. Okay, that's fine. And I think it should go through. And after everything, we can set this to this. And should anything go wrong, we can also say set is uploading to false. Okay, great. So can we try it? And let's see if I click on it. Okay, so now you can see that I am presented with distance here. Okay, so I selected an image, and if I click on here, let's see. Okay, let's check from our Convex terminal and see. Okay, so if I click here, let's see if it does go through. Okay, it's loading, and let's see if we'll get any error here in our terminal. Okay, so we didn't get any error here, no error. Okay, so now we can go inside our database and check. Here we go to files, and great, we have one file here. Great, so you can see. And let's also check the data and go to stories and see we have one story here. Great job. Okay, so now how do we fetch stories? Okay, how do we fetch stories? So let's come here. Okay, so not here, this one. Okay, we don't need this anymore. So okay, great. So here, so export cons get stories. Okay, which is going to be a query. Great. Do we need any arguments? Okay, no worries. What argument will we need? We will need the friends that you have, right? So friends, which will be v dot an array of strings, right? Good, because we only need to fetch friends that you follow. We don't want to fetch any other records for you. So stories, get stories. Okay, great. So first, let's make sure the user is authenticated. Okay, and now let's say cons now should be date dot now. Okay, so we get the date. And now let's also check the friends ID. Great. What we're gonna do is that I am going to put the user that is logged in ID inside, because we also need to make sure that we fetch also your story, right? If you have any story, we fetch it as well. So here, wrap this inside parentheses like this. Okay, and spread it. So we add the current user, that is me, and now I'll spread my friends' IDs, right? If it doesn't exist, I'll just say now. Okay. Okay. I think we can even do away with this, okay? Because here we can even use the user, right? Since we'll be fetching the user here, we'll get the friends, right? So maybe we can do away with this. Let me make it optional for now. So if I don't provide it, nothing will happen. Okay, so here now we have this, so we can say that here, okay, so I'm going to say stories promise. Okay, so we're going to say that friends IDs, this friends. Okay, so friends IDs dot map. So as we map over each one, we'll get each friend. Okay, as we get each friend, then we will fetch using the ctx dot db dot query. Okay, and where are we querying from? Stories. Okay, dot with index. What is the index? The index is by user. Okay, by user. Okay, so yeah, we have this. So so we're saying that by user where the user ID. Okay, so like we did by user where the user ID is equal to friend, right? Okay. And do we even need to do filtering? Okay, so here something like this. Okay, so yeah, I think the filter will be important. Okay, so filter where q, right? Okay, so just say q dot gt greater than, right? Okay, so yes, by reasons of date, so we're going to use the date, the expire at date where it is greater than the field expires at. So all the stories that is greater than the expires at, we're going to filter it, right? So we don't want to fetch expired records. We only want to fetch records that are active. Okay, great. And we'll add this collect to get them, right? So if you check, you can see that it will be an array. Okay, so now that we have that, we can now just say, okay, stories should be equal to await promises.all. By promise.all, they will pass in this here. Okay. So once we get the feedback, we can now flatten it, right? Because if you check, the response was kind of an array within an array. So we just want to flatten it. And now if you check this, you can see it's just an array, just simple, right? Okay, great. So now that we have the stories, let's also try to get the media links. Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm going to say const story with media should be await promise.all. Okay, so promise.all, then I'm going to say stories.map. Okay, great. So I'm going to map over the stories by saying stories.map. Then I'll check that if maybe I can remove this. Yeah, let's not confuse ourselves. So we're going to map over it and say that const so what is the media and user, okay, should be equal to await also promise. We're going to fetch two things, right? Okay, so we're going to fetch two things here. So we're going to fetch the media link, and we're going to fetch also the user of that particular story. Okay, so that's why we're going to use promise.all also here. So first we will get this promise.all, and what we need to do is we just need to get media rate, if you remember that function, and pass in the context and the storage ID, right? Okay, and now we also need to call get user by ID rate and just pass in the context and the user ID. Okay, so here we can just say as ID as user. Okay, make sure this is imported from, yeah. Okay, where is it? Yeah, it's imported from data models. Okay, great. So this now we'll get the media link, right? And we'll get the user. Okay, so when we get it, once we get them, what we can do is now we can return, right, the story. We can return the story, spread the story, and now add inside the content. Let's modify the content, right? Okay, I'm going to spread also the story.content. Great. And now say media will be the media that we have up there. Okay, so we want to change the oh no, it ought to be dot. Great. Then we modify, we add the media, right? Okay, so now the media will be this link here. And once we're done with that, we can also say user should be the user. Okay, great job. Now we're done with this here. We can come down here and let's say group stories by user. Okay, so if user happens to have more, if user happens to have more than one story, we need to do grouping, right? So I'm just going to say const stories by user should be equal to stories with, is it story with media dot reduce. Okay, so we're going to use the reduce function where we'll get the story. Okay, great. We get the accumulator in the story, and we'll just say this. Okay, so open the curly braces, and now let's do check. If there is no story, right? If there is no story of that particular user ID, great. If there is no story of that particular user ID, then okay, let's see what's happening here. So if there is no story, so they'll be grouped here, and they'll be grouped by the user ID. So if there is no story of that particular user ID, then we'll add the user ID and set it to null, right? Meaning that it should be an empty array, so that when we get it, we just push it in. And okay, great. And now once we're done with that, okay, so yeah, we're done with that. So we just say that else, if it does exist also, we just have to push it inside. If we have it already, we do push the story inside it and we'll return this. Okay, great. And here, okay, so here is going to be records. And this, let me make it string. Yes, we're talking about strings, type story. I'm going to say type of stories. Okay. Oh, remove this. Okay, great. Right. So first we check that if we have that particular user ID in the grouping that we're doing. If we don't have it, we push it in. If we do have it already, then whenever we get in the store, we just add it to it and we return it like that. Okay. So now one more thing is to do sorting, sort stories. Okay. So what we will do is I will just go to say object dot keys. Okay, great. Then we just say stories by user. Okay. So okay, I think this should be fine. So stories by user, right? Then for each we get a key. We only need let's here we need the user ID. Okay, then we just say stories by user, then user ID, right? Okay, then we sort it, using A and B, and now we're going to do the comparison between the keys, right? Then we just sort them all, and now we can return stories by user. Great. That was a lot of work. So now let's go here, and now that we can upload stories, great. Let's see how we can fetch stories. How can we do that? Okay, I think it's pretty simple. So we can just say come up here. Let me make some space. Okay, so I'm going to say const stories by user should be equal to use query, right? Okay, from Convex React, and now we'll pass in the API dot stories, great, dot get stories, great. And okay, I think we're supposed to send in okay, I don't remember, but yeah, we can decide not to send in the friends. But should, in case you want to send the friends from here, you can just say friends, right, and just send it from here, right, like this. Okay, but I don't think it's important since we're getting it from here, this user here. There's no need to send it again. Okay, great. So now that we have that, what again should we do? Okay, so let's do some little bit of sorting also. Let's do something here. So I'm going to say cons. So let's prepare the stories in a format that we will be able to, because we need to add in the button, right? Because if we just pass in the stories, we'll not get the button. So we need to alter it a little. So user stories array, yeah, maybe something like that. And we're just going to say that use memo from React. Okay, great. So use memo from React here. We also get a callback. Okay. Oh, where is it? Here. Okay, and I think we also get this. Okay, so here we also get a dependency, and the dependency will be the stories by user, right? Stories by user. And do we even have the user here? I don't know if did I even get. So here, okay, let's just make it this for now. Okay, so now let's come inside this function. Okay, great. So what we're gonna do is that now first, let's just say we need to get the current user ID. Okay, so meaning it will be important we get the user. So say const user should be equal to use profile, if you remember the hook, right? And now we'll get the user here, right? Okay, so yeah, the current user. So we're just going to say current user ID should be user.id, right? Or now, yeah, should in case it does not exist. Okay, so const my stories, right? So what to get my stories? So my stories will be stories by user. Then I'll pass in current user ID. Great. Since they are grouped by the IDs, right? I can just pass in the ID, which is the key to get my stories. And if it doesn't exist, I'm just going to say it should be now. Okay. Oh, no. Wait. What's going on here? You say that stories by user is possibly undefined. What can I do here? Okay, maybe just okay. Let's continue. Okay, so once I get my stories, I can just say const result should be, we're gonna use object, yeah. Okay, so object dot entries, great. Then we pass in stories by user, right? Okay, I'm gonna say yeah, stories by user like this. Then dot filter. Okay, great. So we'll filter by user ID. Okay, so filter by user ID. Let me break it down. Oh, okay. I am missing something here. Okay, so let me remove this for now. Okay, so we filter by the user ID. We get the user ID here, right? We'll return when user ID is not equal to the current ID. That is, filter out the current user, right? So yeah, we want to filter out the current user. Now, once we filter out the current user, then we want to map. We need the user ID, and we also need the stories. Okay. Oh, user ID and stories. Okay, great. And let's just say return immediately, then open an object, return the user ID, then stories will be stories dot sort. Okay, so we're also going to try to sort the stories here. Oh, is that how it's spelled? Stories. Okay, so we want to sort it by also the sequence here. Okay, so maybe what I can do from here is that, yeah, if stories by user does not exist, we'll return, yeah, the empty thing, right? Okay, so once we are done with this, now we have the my stories, we have the result, which does not include my stories. Okay, great, which does not include my stories. So let's look out for something that says that if current user does not, or yeah, if current user has no stories, right? Add. Now, if the current user has stories, right? Then we're going to add them at the beginning of the array. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we say if my stories rate dot length greater than 0, right? Okay. So if my stories is greater than 0, then I'm going to say that result, right? Result, which is this one, which does not include my, right? Okay. Dot on shift, right? So on shift, this method will help us to place something at the beginning or top. Okay, so on shift, parenthesis and curly braces, then I'll say user ID great to be equal to current user ID and stories, right? So that's the format. Stories should be my stories, which is also going to be sorted, right, in the same order. Okay, great. Then now we can return the story here. And even here, now we can even add the user dot underscore ID also as a dependency. Okay, so yeah. So now, yes, everything seems to be working. So what can we do is that now we can come here. And now I'm going to put a parenthesis like this. And inside it, I'm going to say, yes, one user ID should be add. Okay, so we're going to add the thing here, and stories will be empty, right? So user ID add and the storage empty. Okay, then we will spread the user stories array. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, so yeah, you can see we still have this here. First, let me by means console log the stories array and see. Let's make sure Convex everything is running. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to reload it and see if it's working. Okay, I can see I have an error somewhere. Okay, so yes, we have story. Yeah, I think we have one, right? Okay, so for each child in the, there should be a unique key. Okay, so I think it's related to key. Okay, so here, okay, I can remove this for now. So inside the flat list where we're giving out this stories here, so items should be this, right? And I'm going to add, so how should I even do it? Okay, so items, yeah. So I'm going to say, item as unknown, right? As, then I'll add the user ID as string and the story as the story. Okay, I think this should work. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. And now here will be the user ID. Great. Okay. So in the story card, here, now we can accept the item, which constitutes the okay, let me see if because I'll get it. So yeah, which will constitute the user ID, which is a string, and the story. Okay, great job. Okay, so now that we having no error, I want to believe that yes, the story is there. So here, what we can do is we'll also need to get whether it's dark. Yeah, it has been imported already. Okay, and here we'll also need the user. Okay, so user profile. It's this way. Okay, so that we have the dark and we have the user. And what again do we need? Okay, we can also say cons is my story, which is going to be item dot user ID great equal to user ID. So if it's equal to user ID, I'm going to say, yeah, we're going to get the item as my story. Okay, great. Okay, we can also say cons has has user viewed the story, and here I'm going to use memo. All we're going to say is that we're going to say item dot stories, yes, dot, okay, sum. Oh, stories dot sum. Okay, so here we open parenthesis, another parenthesis, and we get the story. Okay, so we get the story, and we just say story dot viewers. Yes, I think, is it viewers or view? Yeah, I think it's viewers. We can go inside the schema, stories. Here it's viewers. Yeah, viewers. Okay, so story dot viewers dot include then the user ID. User ID, or let's just say, oh yeah, MTMC. So here, did I include viewers does not exist on type story? Okay, so where is the type? It's here. We don't have viewers. Okay, yes. Okay, so now we have it here. Okay, great. So yeah, what again is left? We can here, we can say also to sorted. Now you should know that sorted stories, you should know that if the stories are grouped, they can be that you viewed a story, right? So we need to also take care of that one, if the story has been viewed or not. Okay, so here what I'm going to say is that story, so sorted story, that's by view. So I'm going to say item dot story, right, dot sort. Okay, where we get A and B, right? Okay, so A and B, and let's return based on A dot view. Oh, it should be A, not API. A, okay, A comma B, not dot. Yes, so A dot viewers. Okay, great. Viewers dot include user dot underscore ID. Right? Okay, so A, yes, this, or let's see now. Okay, then I can see if it does, then 1, else negative 1. Okay, so here, yeah, we have user. Okay, put question mark here. So we are sorting it. If the user has viewed it, then we sort it differently, else, yeah. So here ought to be 1, and here negative 1 instead. Yeah, like this. Great. So now, yeah, I think that's it. We can even, yeah, okay, let me just say user info should be item dot stories. Okay, so since they are grouped by user, so we can just pick one, right, and just say user. Okay, we can just pick one and get the user info there. Okay, so now finally we're here. So now let's say items dash center, and also margin right of 4. Okay, view class name flex row. Okay, so here we're going to say sorted stories. Okay, so sorted stories dot, maybe we can slice it. Should we slice it, or okay, no, I don't think there's a need. So let's map get the story, and is the index needed? I'm not sure, but okay, let's try it. Okay, great. So now that we have this, we can try touchable opacity. Great. Okay, and we give a key, which will be the story ID. Okay. Okay, I think it will be unique. So let's go. Let's also give, let's start it straight up. Okay. Okay, so here I'm going to say that there are a lot of styles. So I'm going to say this should be also 16, height also 16, rounded dash full, right? Okay, like it was. items to center, justify to also center, right? Okay. And what again I can say, it's I'm going to give border. Is it even okay? So border -2, right? Okay, great. So yeah, we have this for now. Border -2. Okay, okay. So you can see something. Now, what we're saying that if it is dark, is it even necessary to? Okay, why not? I say that has user viewed story, right? If it is true, then if it's true, if the user has viewed the story, then we're going to say border. Oh, border. Yes. So the border color should be blue, right? Yeah, blue 500. Okay, no, let's make it 500. Else it should be gray 300, right? Yeah. Else border gray 300. Okay. Okay. So has user view story? Okay, I think this should turn around some. Okay. Okay, maybe we could also do it this way. Has user view story where if user hasn't viewed, yes. Yeah, right. Pretty simple. Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all. We can even also set overflow to hidden. Okay, great. And what again do we need? Okay, we can go on. If there be anything again we need to add, maybe we can come back. Okay, so let's also check if the story dot type, right, equal to image, right? If the story equal to image. Okay, so let's use this fragment for now. So if it's image, we're going to use the image tag, import from React Native. Okay. And here, okay, let me use view for now. Okay, so image, if it's image, we're going to have the source, and the source is going to be a URI, which is story.content.media. Okay, great. And I'm going to give a class of width of full and height of also full, right? Okay. And yeah, let me put now here for now. Yeah. Okay, let's see, does it show up? Okay, I don't think it's coming up. So below, okay, so maybe below this div, right, we can also put the test like we did and get user info name. Okay, okay. If that's not exist, maybe we can also say okay, so one thing we can do first, let's check if it's my story. If it's mine, we're just going to say your story. Yes, right. If it's not, then yeah, so your story, great. And should I yes this? I'm going to say okay, so dark should be this and gray should be this. Okay, that's pretty fine. And the image is still not showing. We're not using this thing, so we can remove it. Okay, so something it's missing, right? So I'm going to say console log the item.story, right? And let's see. Okay, okay, so here, so console log the item.story. So this image URL, where is the story URL? So story, okay. So media, okay. So the media is still equal to the ID. We're not getting the URL itself. Okay, so something must be wrong. Now I think I can even remove this dummy stories. Yeah, I don't need them now. And here, I'm going to also remove it. So to remove all unused imports, you can just use I think it's Alt Shift and O. Oh, no, it's Alt Shift. No, it's okay. It's Alt Shift and O. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So yeah, something must be wrong. Where here? So get stories and stories with images. So here, images, we pass the storage ID. We get the media and we pass in the media here. So what is it here? Okay, so I'm gonna log media here. And this one will come perhaps here. Okay. Okay, so you see, it's still logging in this one. It's not getting the link itself, right? Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is here, we'll click on this file, we get a context and we get the URL, right? And we fetch the story and return it. So we pass in the context, we pass in the story dot URI. Okay. Okay, so here, I'm also going to console log this and see. Okay, so I think I found out I don't know why, but this function here is not returning the image, right? It's not getting the image, so I don't know why, but okay, so I just did it here. I brought the query here, and it seems to be working. It's working here. This one is not working. I don't know why, but I'll figure out. Okay, so but for now, let's continue. Okay, so I can see it's been locked here, so I can remove what did I place? Log. Okay, I can remove this. Great. And now I can also toggle this. Okay, and now you can see that we have the story. Great job. Okay. So now if I click on the story, what should happen is that it should open the stories page. Okay, great. So yeah, so that's what we'll do in the next session. Welcome back. So now let's continue. So when we click on the story, we need to open it. So I'll go inside the app, protected, then modal, and I'll create story, right, slash, then square bracket ID dot TSS, right? Okay, so you should know, this will be a dynamic route, right? This will be a dynamic route. Okay, so this will be a dynamic route. So I'll go to stories and you see the ID will be the story ID. Literally, this will be the user ID, right? Not the story ID. Okay, the user ID, so that will fetch all the stories of the user and we just move through the stories if there are many. Okay, great. So here, okay, so let me do the basic thing. So story view or view story. Yeah, the one. Okay, and we're gonna say export default story view or viewer. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so let's return a safe area view. Okay, I think I'll have to restart my IDs. Yeah, so I'll be back shortly when I do that. Let me do that end. Okay, so yes, I'll import this from here. Okay, and this is story view. Okay, great. So I think it's working now. Okay, so when we click on the story from here, story card here, when we click on it here, so we have the touchable opacity this. Okay, so here when we click or we press, I should say, press on it, we're going to move to the story page, right? So how we can do it, we can say this, and we're gonna import router from expo.push, right? Good. And when we push, okay, we can do something like this. We can say that we are going to push to path name, right? So the path will be this, and we can have, okay, so we can have the path as this, right? And the parameter as this. Okay, so the path is this one story slash ID, and we pass the ID as this one, right? Okay, that is the, let's pass the user ID instead. So maybe instead I can just call user info dot user ID. I think underscore ID. Yeah. Okay, great. So here, okay, so if I click on this, great. So we're here. Now how do we get all of these things here? Okay, great. So also here, we're gonna need a stack. Okay. Oh, so let me import this from our context, and let me remove all of this. Okay, do this. Okay, great. Great. Should we will also need the user here. So the current login user, so user use profile. Okay, great. We will need other states. So I'm just going to say const current story ID. Oh yeah, ID, and set current story ID, which will be a string. And let me import this. Okay, so it will be a string. Now let's make it the index instead, right? Good, and that will be 0. And the next one is let's also do the progress, right? Const progress set progress, okay, which will also be a use state, okay, which will also start from 0. And I'm also going to say const stories and set stories to also be a use state. Use state, okay, which will be empty in the beginning. Okay, so here we can have the type as story. Make sure you import it from component stories. I think that's where we have the types, and it will be an array, right? Okay, great. So we have this. Now let's fetch the story. So to fetch the stories, we just say const user stories. Okay, should be equal to use query. Great. Then I'll pass in API imported dot story. Great. Dot get stories. Great. Okay, then here, okay, so I think here we'll need to modify thing and pass in our friends. So our friends will be the ID that we'll receive, right? So here, how do we even get the ID? We can get it by saying this, okay, equal to use local search params, okay, and the name is ID, so we can just destructure it as ID. Okay, great. And we can pass in ID here, right, as string. Okay, then we'll pass in the ID. So meaning we will have to modify the stories function here, right? Okay, we have to modify it because now we're fetching it using the users list that we have from here, right? But should in case we have this, we need to find a way to use that. Okay, great. So how can we do that one? Okay, so here, what we're going to do is that we first, since this is optional, what I'm going to do is I will first check, right, if it exists, right? So if it does, meaning, okay, so here, Okay, so here I didn't pass it. Okay, great. So maybe I can say that if arguments dot, okay. Oh, okay. I need to destructure it here. Dot friends. Great. Since it's an array dot length. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say that if we have this list, right? If we have this, right? So I'm going to check if we have it. If the length, should I say list? If the length is greater than 0, okay. Let me just say if it does exist, then we'll use that one. Else, then we'll use this, right? Okay. So I think that should be pretty fine. So yeah. So here, let's console log and see if we're getting some stories. Okay, so you can see we're getting stories here. Yeah, we're getting stories here. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so how can we now process the story? Okay, so let's have a use effect, I think. Yeah, use effect. Okay, great. So this use effect, what we're going to do inside is that okay, so now this story will come. Okay, yeah, okay. So how shall I even do it? Okay, so okay, let's say if user stories exist, right? And ID is also there, right? Okay, great. That is this ID. If it's there, okay. So if we have this now, let's try to sort stories. Okay. So how are we also going to sort it? So we also sort it by the views, right? Whether it has been viewed or not. So let me remove this for now. Okay, so here I'm going to say user stories dot sort. I don't think. Let's look at the structure very well. So here, okay, I think we're missing something. And then here, it will be returned by. Okay, so I think I'm missing something. Okay, let me look at it. You know how I did it. So here, let's just say okay. So user story array. Oh my goodness. User story array will be equal to user story, right? Okay, then we know that we group them by the ID. So pass in the user ID, which is the ID that we have received, right? Okay, great. And now we'll say you sorted stories. So sorted stories will be let me first spread the user story array, right? Great, this one. Then dot sort. Okay, great. Yes, I think now I'm getting the structure very well. So A and B. Great. And now what we'll return will be okay. So first let's do viewed, whether the story has been viewed or not. So viewed will be this here. It's A comma B. Okay. So so view will be A dot view viewers, right, dot include. Okay, so we'll check if it includes the user ID, right? The currently logged in user, right? we'll check if I viewed it or not. And we can also say, oh, now, yes, since it might be there or not. Okay, so so let's say view A and view B. Okay, great. So let's do it like this. Whether you view A or B. So say if viewed A is not equal to view B, right? Okay. If it's not, they will return viewed A 1, else -1. So if we view the A or the first one, right, we just need to switch it over. If not, we will not do the switching. Okay, so here there's a typo somewhere. Okay, so here, let me make sure I have the, okay, here. Okay. Okay, so like this. Okay, so I think it should be this now. Okay, so okay, great. So now here, yeah, so 1 or -1. Okay, and once that is done, we can also have the return a.sequence, right? Yeah, a.sequence and -b.sequence. Okay, great. And when we finish with all, below here, we can now call the set stories, right? And pass in the sorted stories. Okay, sorted stories. Okay, so what I'm going to say is as any. Yeah, okay, great. Or we can even say as unknown as stories, right? Great. And here we can put dependencies as the user stories, great, and the ID as well as the user. Yeah, we can put all of these as the dependency. Okay. Okay, so here, let's do something. Let's do some check first. So if there's no story, right? Great. So let's put in a loader, right? Did we have a loader? So if we did, it should be there. So we can, oh my goodness. Okay, so we can import loader, right? Okay, yes, I think we did. Oh my word. I don't know whether Kesa is helping me or not, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, something like this. Great. And we can even check for the background stuff, right? Great. And I'm going to say item to center and justify to also center. Great. So we have the loader. So in order to get the current story, okay, so in order to get the current story, what we can do is we can just say const current story should be equal to stories that we pass in the current index, right? Okay, that's pretty fine. Okay, so here, now let's come to the UI. I'm going to say this and say flex 1. Okay, then inside this, okay, great. This, so okay, so I have some suggestions to flex. When it's dark, okay, did I say, okay, I think it should be gray dash 900. Okay, and this should be white. Okay, so first let's have the progress bar here, right? Okay, so the progress bar, we're going to put it inside a view, and I'll put a class which will be flex dash row. Okay, flex dash row. Okay, so it will be flex dash row, and I'm going to say the height should be 1. Okay, that's fine. inside this, now we're going to see the stories, right? Okay. So we're going to map over the stories. However, we will not need the story. So if you're mapping over something that you will not need it, right? Okay, so we will not need the story for anything. So we can just put this dash here, right? Okay. All we care about is the index. And what we're going to return is maybe we can remove this and return this instantly. Okay, great. So like this. Okay, so return a view and okay, so something like this. Okay, let's check and see if the suggested code is okay. Okay, so we have this, then we're setting the key as the index, and the class is that it should be flex1, right? We can say the height should be full. Okay, so it will occupy the full height of the parent, and the background should be BG gray. That's okay. 300 should be good. Okay, 300. Oh, okay. Then I'm going to say MX of 0.5. That is margin left and right of 0.5. Okay, and that should be all. Okay, so yes, then there's no need of this stars here. Oh, I think Keza, it's not helping. Okay, 300. Okay, MS 0.5. Okay, I think this is what we have for now. Okay, yes, okay, something like this. Great. So here, inside this one, we'll have another view, which, oh, yes, which is going to be a self-closing view. Okay, great. So in here, we also have classes, height of full, right? Okay, and a BG of blue-500. Great. And now let's add the styles here. Okay, we're going to say the width. Okay, great. The width should be index less than current story. So yes, we want to check the index. If the index is less than the current story, if that is true, then we're going to say that a width of 100%. Okay, so we are going to check. So we want to just know the number of stories that we have, right? Which will determine the width of each one, right? Okay, so if the index is just 1, right, then 100. Else, we check index is equal to current story, right? So if it's less than, okay. Okay, so yeah, so here, if okay, great. So what I'm saying is that if the index is equal to current index, oh yeah, it should be current index, not current story. Yeah, this is the story itself, and the index is what we're referring to. Okay, so if the index is less than this, then 100. If it's equal to, then what we can do is we're gonna say that. Okay. So here we're gonna say the progress. Here, okay. What I'll do is I'm gonna say so progress, then I'll add a percentage to it, right? So the progress and the percentage, else 0%. Okay, great. I think that should be all. Okay, so I think you can see there's a line there, right? Okay, great. And now let's render the header of the story itself. So come down one div, and I'm going to put say header. Okay, so a view, class name, flex of row, items to center, and justify to between, and padding of 4. Okay, great. Let's put another view inside it, and also class names, also flex of row, and item to center. Okay, item to center. Now we can put a touchable opacity. great, from React Native, make sure it's imported. Okay, so class margin right of 4. Okay, 4. And we can also have on-press, which will be router.back. So make sure you imported router from expo.back. That is, we want to close it and go back. Okay. 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 Okay, great. And what again we can do? Inside this, let's put the material icon. Okay, the icon name should be close. Okay, great. The size should be 24, and color. Okay, so let me close it. So the color is, let's check, is dark. Okay, so I'll just bring the colors. So these are the colors. Great, and we have this here. So if I click on it, it should go back. If I open it, it should come here. Great. Yes, we're making great progress. And below the taggable opacity, we can put test. Make sure test is imported from React Native. Test is imported from React Native. Okay, and okay, so I remove the class name here. Okay, template string, and I'm going to say, okay, let's see. So the text should be LG, font should be semi-bold, that's fine. If it's dark, the text should be white, and if it's light, the text should be dark or black. Okay, I think that's fine. And here we'll put the current story. Let's check the current story.user ID, great, equal to user._ID. Do we have user already? User. Yeah, we have user. So I'm going to say user. Okay, so if it is equal to user, okay, then we'll just say your story, else it will be else will be the current grade story dot user dot name. Okay, great. So yeah, so this is my story. That's fine. And we can also have the created at, yeah. So that one will also come. Where should I even put it? Okay, we can put it below here, but still inside this div. So here, make sure we are still inside the header. Okay, so here. So what I'm going to say is new date dash current story. Okay, so I think something like this, right? Yeah, that's here. Okay. So we're done with the header. Now let's do with the content itself. So after this, calm down one. So the header should end somewhere here. Okay, great. And the story itself will come here. Okay, great. Okay, so div class name, items that center, justify to center, and let me add a flex of 1. Okay, brilliant. And inside it now, let's do current story dot type, right? Okay, so type equal to image. We'll give this view. Okay. Let's okay, no worries. So if it's image, we want to show the image, else we also want to give this, we want to say now for now. We'll come to the video. Okay, so let's import the image and render the image accordingly. Okay, so we can put this. Okay, no. Current.media, great. So we'll just say the URL should be the current story.content.media, right? Great. The class name should be that it should be with full height full, and we can also give the resize mode as contain. Great. Well, beautiful. Great, great job. Great. Okay, so that's great, right? Beautiful. So what again we're gonna do? Okay, so yeah. So maybe I didn't do that, but maybe we can add gestures later so that when you click on next, you can move to the next one. But let's do the functionality so that automatically it will be moving right to the next one. So um, okay, so that one I used okay, my AI to generate it. So I'm just gonna put it here and just show you. Okay. Okay. So I am using a use effect, right? So this handles the story progress. So once it loads, we check if the story exists, right? The length is 0 and the current story index is also less than the story.length, right? If it does, then what we'll do is that the current story, we get current story and get it here. We set the duration, right, to the type. If it's video, we set it to the type of video. Video. If the current story type is video, we set it to 30,000 milliseconds. Else, we set it to 5,000. Okay, so that is 30 seconds for video and 5 seconds for image. Great. Now the interval is also 50. That is 50 milliseconds. And the step, we do the step by using the duration divided by the interval that we have, right? So we say that let the current step be 0. And now we define a timer, or yes, using the set interval, right? So as it goes on, we keep adding to the incrementing the steps, right? What you see, that is why we're using let. Okay, great. If we use const, we can change it. So that's why we're using let. Then we set the progress to be equal to the step divided by this multiplied by 100, right? Okay. Once we do that, now we check if the current step is greater than or equal to the step. If it does, then we set the time interval to the timer that we have here, right? Sorry, we clear the interval. So if we get to the last one, we just need to clear the interval and have the comment. Let's move to the next story, right? Okay, so if we finish this, we just move to the next story. So we do the current step. If it's still less than, right? If we are not on the last one, then we just increment the story index, then set the progress to 0 to start. If all of these, right, finishes, right, then we just move back and close it automatically, right? Okay. So this is a timer, and here is a function to clear the timer, that the listening event that we have here, to unsubscribe. Yes, that's what I mean to say. Great, and we're setting the dependency as the current story index and that. Okay, so let me save it and let's see. So now you can see that it's moving. So once it finishes, since the length is only 1, it just moved to closes it, right? Great. So I think you saw the loader, right? The loader, it loads, then once it's done, it moves back. Beautiful. Okay, so now what again? Okay, let's quickly fix the homepage. Don't forget to like and subscribe.